Thank you, guys.
Hello.
Hey. So, hello, everybody. My name is Obi Nwosu, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Fedy. We make a community super app, so that's chat, money, and more, all in one app. And unexpectedly, we found ourselves at the forefront, we hope, of Bitcoin for good. And why is that? Well, just as a bit of background, Fedy is a bit like the Swiss Army knife of Bitcoin apps. As I said, it's chat, it's money, it's more. It's like a super app, like Telegram, like WeChat in China, but instead of being centralized and without privacy, you have privacy, and it's run by communities on the behalf of communities. And what we found is, just like the Swiss Army knife, which was forged in the fire of war, we're forged by working with some of the most disadvantaged communities around the world. So these are humanitarian communities, human rights defenders, and disempowered Bitcoin communities globally. And the reason why we do this is because we realize that if it can work for these communities, it can work for everyone, everywhere. And that's where we start with that. To that end, we've been working on this for a while, and we wanted to give you a bit more of an insight of how Fedy and Bitcoin is working for good by introducing one of the communities that we've been working with. And so I wanted to first introduce you to Philea from Refu-Night. So Philea, can you tell us a little bit about Refu-Night and about yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Philea, the product officer of Refu-Night. Refu-Night is a tech nonprofit organization. We provide financial and educational support for victims of crisis, refugees, and also underserved communities, notably in hard-to-reach areas. We partner with more than 100,000 local community leaders. Mm-hmm. And these community leaders, they serve more than 100 million members. So, yeah. The number is scary, I know, but I will tell you why. So back to the origin of Refu-Night as an organization, maybe, I don't know if all of you already know, but Refu-Night started as an organization who reconnect missing families, loved ones in general, all around the world since 2008.
Yeah.
And we try to work with a lot of local communities to be able to find their missing loved ones. And the more we understand the community, the more we work with the community, the faster we will find the missing people. So by that time, since 2008 until around 2020, just before pandemic, we already have around, I think, 80,000 community leaders, and it's growing. And now we have more than 100,000 leaders. During pandemic, so this is where the Bitcoin comes in. During pandemic, when pandemic unfolded, these communities that we work with, they asking for help from us, but they know for sure that we're just organization that provide, we're tracing missing family, right? But they know that since we develop a close connection, they ask if there's anything we can do to help them. So we try to call our partners, organization partners, because we always look at our partners not as competitors, like organizations around us, but more like, we bring together to help people in need. But then there's always a limitation, right?
And that's when you came across Bitcoin.
Yes, that's where the Bitcoin comes. So we try different methods to send donations, because we're actually not sending donations directly, but we try to fundraise a bit to see if that works. And We started with a small amount of money and only a few communities, trying different methods. We tried a normal fiat transaction, traditional delivery aid, and a few other methods. But we figure out after 4 years that Bitcoin is one of the most efficient tool in our arsenal because it's very fast and with also reasonable fees. And that's what we need if we want to handle emergencies, right?
And how long have you been using Bitcoin? Because you were saying that it used to take you 7 days, and now it takes you as little as a day. But how long have you been using Bitcoin?
Well, Bitcoin, I think we started using it around 20. And when we use Bitcoin with different wallets, because we need to know which wallet that worked, and then we also need to know which country that accept what wallet. So Bitcoin itself is already quite helpful, like very helpful for the process.
So you're using it for approaching 4 years now.
Yeah.
Now you're actually an expert in actually using Bitcoin as a medium of exchange, you would say, in Bitcoin land. As opposed to just a store of value. No. But after 4 years, what are the remaining challenges, or are there still remaining challenges for using it?
Yeah, like I said before, that Bitcoin already make a really better process for us because we need to send money from donors to beneficiaries as fast as we could. But we need to use a lot of tools, different wallets. We need to negotiate with a lot of brokers. We need to find exchanges because as we know that Bitcoin cannot be used as a daily transaction kind of settings yet. Not many countries accept that, so we always have to cash out to local currency.
Also you have challenges beyond the monetary aspect. You have transparency concerns between the donors and the communities as well.
Yes.
And so, with all of that around, and in the midst of that, you were looking for a solution to make it even simpler and to be able to leverage Bitcoin even more for good. At that point, I think that you discovered Fedy. Before we go into how Fedy and all the freedom technologies that Fedy works with, Lightning, eCash, Nostr, Matrix, and other decentralized tech, how did we connect with each other?
Oh, that's a nice story. So I call it serendipity, let's put it that way. So Refu-Night already partner with a lot of organizations all around the world, and one of it is Bitcoin Innovation Hub in Uganda.
Yeah, Meron.
Yeah, and Meron is the leader of that organization. They invited us to speak on one of their events last year to explain how Bitcoin actually used in real life, and with also to serve any kind of audience. And in our case, is the people who live in poverty. We had a talk, we had a session there, and also I think Fedy also had a talk in there. And you want to tell the rest of the story because you're part of it.
I can finish, but basically, and this is the Bitcoin Innovation Hub in Uganda. And part of Fedy, we always say we combine human with technology. So the technology is getting the best of the Bitcoin and freedom technology ecosystem and putting it into one place. But that doesn't work alone. You need a network of people on the ground, actually where people are. And so we have what we call our Fedi order and the Fedi nights. And we had our local Fedi night in Uganda, who was also talking to communities, locating communities, educating communities, and then supporting those communities. And so because we had that person on the ground, they were able to connect. And they talked to their upline, who is Renata from our team, who heads up communities. If you haven't met Renata, you should meet her. She's an amazing woman. And eventually we decided to have a meeting where we connected, and it was amazing because on one side, we understood that communities was a superpower, and we are building a tool to just level up and augment what communities already do, but we were looking for communities. On the other side, you had Refu-Night, who for over a decade has realized that communities are a superpower, and they know hundreds of thousands plus of communities from around the world, but they're looking for a technology to help them help those communities even more. So it was a very, and also we both understood that we were willing to work with a product which at that point was not even beta software, it was alpha software, and work together to improve it. So yeah, that's when we connected. So we decided to go and embark on a trial. Can you tell us, basically tell us how did the trial go, what were the experiences, and more about some of the trials and what you did?
Yeah, so Refu-Night, we try to support two things. First, it's always our top priority to be able to respond to emergencies. For example, if there are a flood or storm or any community that need help right away. And the second is we try to build a sustainable community. So because every community, they cannot always get money from external. At some point, they need to be able to sustain on their own, right? And they need one, finance support, and second, they need education. So that's why we try to support that.
You're calling it like first helping people survive and then helping them thrive.
Yes,
basically, yeah.
Survive and then thrive.
Yeah.
And then we try to build a process where we can send money fast and also transparent, but only between donors, us, Refu-Night, and the beneficiaries in one platform. Because the biggest challenge, maybe I forgot to emphasize this earlier, the biggest challenge is to proving the donors where their money goes, like who will receive this, and how much the beneficiary will receive at the end. And based on our experience, traditional delivery aid for just logistical fees, it will take around 10 to 30% of the money from the donors.
So basically, if someone, so just putting to my sort of very simple terms, if you manage to raise $1 million, then you're saying 100,000 to 300,000 of that doesn't get to actual aid.
Yes.
Okay, wow. So let's explain, so you please continue on the trials that you were doing with Fedy and Bitcoin and Lightning and eCash and everything. What were some of the trials you did on the ground?
Yeah, the thing is that we sometimes didn't get big amount of donation when we handle emergencies. So sometimes we only get 1,000 or 10,000, and if we send $1,000 and $300 already go just to logistical fee. Logistical fee in this case meaning, let's imagine the donor from US, and then they send money. They want to send money to Tanzania, and the donor has to send it to the headquarters of the organization, and then let's say it cut, 5%. And then the headquarters has to send it to a specific country, let's say in Tanzania, and then they have to cut another few percent. And then if we accumulate it, that it could be around 10 to 30% depending on the country.
So, but what were some of the technologies that you ended up using in the Bitcoin ecosystem beyond Bitcoin itself? Lightning, eCash, Nostr, Fedy mods, or more? What did you end up using?
Yeah, I use a lot Lightning because one of our team actually very pro Bitcoin, and he's like, let's try this, and and then he showed me all the tools, and I used Moon Wallet at that time because it works on different countries in Africa. But yeah, it's always a lot of challenges finding the brokers who can actually cash out. I have to use a wallet of Satoshi, or I need to always check which broker has which wallet. Yeah.
But you mentioned things like your use of chats and multi-spend and so on.
Yeah.
So do you want to elaborate on some of those experiences?
Yeah, so, well, Fedy miraculously provide a lot of things that we need. The pilot that we did together is I want to make sure that community can chat with us to make sure that we get the best project, meaning the project they really need. And the other community members can witness the decision. So it's more like a consensus decision. And also the donor can also communicate directly to the beneficiaries because that's what they really want, right? To see where my money goes. So chat is one of the key. The second is the transaction itself. We use eCash. Because it's really fast, it's really easy, and you can even send it directly on chat in Fedy. That makes it very seamless, the process. And well, this is okay. I'm going to tell you about the multi-spend feature that it was on my imagination that it would be perfect to have a tool that we put the donor, beneficiaries, and Refu-Night under one umbrella when we're doing the transaction. So the donor can witness and even approve the transaction and also observe when let's say we send it to community leaders, and community leaders has to send it to different actors in their community. So we, as the donor and also Refunite, can see where the money travels. And I was like hoping that, that would be ideal, yeah? And I didn't know that you actually built that. But then,
well, this is one of the benefits of working with some of the most disadvantaged communities in the world. There's no way we would have thought about this idea if we were just focusing on the West. But by focusing on some of the most disempowered communities, we end up with a feature which is useful for anybody, the ability for any group of or subset of people to spending pots with special rules on how they can be spent, and special verification is useful anywhere. And anyone can build things like that. If you can build a website, you can build these mods. That is something, again, which will go back to benefit everybody everywhere. But beyond the stuff that we did based on this feedback, you use other features from the Bitcoin ecosystem. We call them Fedy mods, but they're basically ways of connecting to other features. What are some of the other services in the Bitcoin ecosystem that you take advantage of, like the bit refills or other things like that?
Yeah, so what I really like about using Fedy, I mean, I'm not trying to put like a branding, but Fedy
because this
really
is all
helps.
about the whole Bitcoin ecosystem.
Because Fedy not just creating feature in-house, but Fedy also, that's why you call it mods, I think, right?
Yeah.
Because the mods is like putting all the Bitcoin products, under from the ecosystem to be part of Fedy. So anyone as a user of Fedy, they can use different platform based on what they need. In our case, we use BTC map because we really need to know where the brokers are. And then we use BTC in and out because we need to, well, as I said before, one of the biggest challenges is negotiate with the brokers. But BTC in and out help us to automate it to get the best rate, and we don't even have to talk to the broker. They just give me like, hey, this is the best rate that you can get, and that's it. We can cash out directly.
And do you use, so please continue.
Yeah, and then we use bit refill as well.
Yeah.
I think bit refill, BTC in and out, and BTC map are the most useful mods.
And and a different community will choose different features.
Different features, I think.
Whether it's Giza or, I mean, any website can be, with a click, turned into a Fedy mod. So that's your usage, but this is all really good, but can you put this into number terms? What were the benefits that you've seen when you've been from the first trial, so that people can have a sense of perspective?
Yeah, from the number?
Basically, But if you can put the benefits that you had from using these trials, what were the results, basically? Yeah. How have you been found? First of all, in any terms, any way you want to answer it.
Okay, so maybe I'm starting with the number, and then I give you some use cases. So,
or the other way around.
Yeah,
however.
Or the other way around. Okay.
Whatever you want to do.
So we try to have one pilot with Fedy. Initially, we only planned for Uganda. Because Uganda, we have our base in Uganda, so it's easier to coordinate. But I think we did it for around 6 months. But during that time, there was a huge flood affecting 4 countries in Africa, Malawi, Burundi, Tanzania, and Kenya. And we try to, our spirit is always try to help the community, community in need, like the most needed community. And then we asked Fedy if, guys, I need to send money to these 4 countries. Is it possible? And then we try to make it happen. At that time, I think Fedy didn't have that many brokers yet in some countries. I think Malawi. But then Fedy has a team on the ground. You call it Fedy order, I think, right? Yeah, Fedy order. And Fedy order work really fast within only like several hours. So the result is we managed to send $16,000 to 4 countries and helping almost 21,000 people that got affected by the flood, because it's affected 4 countries. And they managed to, it's not just that, because handling emergency, usually they will buy the most basic thing. Are you familiar with Maslow hierarchy of needs?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Yeah. So when you handle emergency, we try to support the bottom of the pyramid, the physiological needs, food and shelter. When we send the money, we hope that we can rebuild their village or their city, and with that $16,000, we also managed to create 34 life-changing projects for them. So I can share some of it. One is some
of them are over there, I think.
Yeah. So we try to help the 2 pictures on the left here is the emergency response, the flood, and also they have a storm. And on the right side is we try to help them further to have a more sustainable development initiatives. And we built medical camp for people who got hurt. So because most of these people, they don't have money anymore. Can you imagine that the flood attacked your house, you lost everything in the night, and these people usually don't have bank account. Okay, that's one thing that maybe we can discuss a bit further there, because the reason I use Bitcoin, because the KYC is so much easier.
There isn't any.
People who are, for example, refugees, they only have refugee ID. People who are living in a remote community, they don't even have birth certificate. So how can they create a bank account? And how we can send money to them, right? So that's why using Bitcoin help us a lot to be able to help these people.
Wow. So, and it's just so, even though we were working with you, to just realize that such a small amount of money can help so many people when delivered on time and efficiently.
Yes.
When it's inefficient, not only do you pay higher costs, but those inefficiencies mean that it costs more money to deal with the longer you leave dealing with a problem. A bit like if you have some sort of ailment or illness, if you deal with it quickly, it's very little to deal with. But if you keep it a long time, it's much more expensive. But, we could keep talking as we do, but what are the next steps?
The next steps are using Bitcoin, as I said, already a good process, but we want to make it more ideal, meaning if we can build a reporting system, because now the donor can witness sending money from them to the beneficiaries, and it would be even more transparent if the beneficiary can report back to the to the donors. So we try to build that system like a closed loop system that
Could allow people to do that.
To allow people
and that's
to do
something that anybody can do. Anybody who can access or can build on the web can contribute and add these features. I mean, from our side, the next step is to keep working with communities around the world. We're starting with the most disempowered, but eventually we will work with everybody everywhere, and everybody will benefit from this. And this is not just a philosophy for Fedy. We think it's a philosophy for the entire Bitcoin community, whether you're working on Bitcoin, on Lightning, on all forms of eCash, Nostr, Matrix, or other decentralized tech. We should work together to benefit and bring Bitcoin for good. This is an incredible example of how it can work. Just to finish off, how can people find out more about Refu-Night?
Yeah, you can go to refunite.org and you can actually test it to send donation, either small or big, and you can witness it on your own. And we even open if you want to go to our community and see the result.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time from everything you
You're
do.
welcome.
I'm really honored to be working with you, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here at the Bitcoin Magazine news desk. To my left, we have Jack Mallers, CEO of Strike, and to his left, we have Maya Parpo, presidential candidate, pro-Bitcoin presidential candidate for Suriname, also CEO of Daedalus Labs. Maya, this is a kind of a legendary sort of situation. We know Jack was sort of instrumental in helping bring Bitcoin to El Salvador, and that led to Bukele adopting it as legal tender. This is part of a platform you're running on, adopting Bitcoin as legal tender. Why would Bitcoin help Suriname?
Well, I believe that, with the amount of inflation that we have and that we've had ever since we gained our independence in 1975, I believe that Bitcoin is a solution to that problem and the problem of systemic corruption ever since we gained our independence as well. Because it offers a way to create an amount of transparency that you don't have with the SRD right now. There's a lot of opaqueness.
Yep.
And there's a lot of room for corruption. Whereas if you have a government spending completely on the blockchain, on the Bitcoin blockchain, you can build a system where you can actually track all spending and see where everything's going, and everybody can kind of monitor it live. So that's what we're going for. And actually making government a lot more efficient.
Yep.
Because right now, it's a very inefficient government. Half of our working population works for government. So there's a lot that you can solve by just making Bitcoin not just legal tender, but the unit of account.
Amazing. Jack, what is it like to hear something like this? Possibly the next Bitcoin country. What does that make you feel?
Makes me feel good.
Yeah, I like it.
Well, separate money and the state. I don't think people appreciate money as our time and energy in an abstracted form, or money as our effort. So when a government and a country or a central bank can debase the currency by proxy, they're debasing you.
Yep.
They're debasing us. And so for a government to say, relieve themselves of the control over the populace's time, energy, effort, labor, and allow that to compete in a free market and relinquish that control is amazing. So I'm obviously a big fan, and I want you to win.
Yeah. We're going to cut back to the main stage in just a second, but just one thing that came to mind as Jack was saying that, Maya, when we first spoke for a piece that I wrote on you for Bitcoin Magazine, you said people are sort of just stuck in survival mode, right? We have this bad currency. It's sucking the life out of the people. So we're hoping that we obviously see when you're elected president, we're all behind you. We hope to see the energy come back to the people of Suriname and to see the country revived as a result. On that note, we do have to kick it back to the main stage. Again, here with Jack Mallers, Maya Parpo. Going back to the main stage. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this.
Is your company ready for the next evolution in financial strategy? Bitcoin for Corporations is your partner in securing the future of your business. With exclusive membership benefits, our comprehensive masterclass, and a network of trusted service providers, we provide the insights and resources to help you incorporate Bitcoin into your financial strategy, ensuring stability and long-term value. Strengthen your business. Innovate with confidence. Bitcoin for Corporations, protecting your treasury and positioning you for the future.